Hi, welcome to the Worldly Perspective. We're just a bunch of ex-fundies, Jehovah's Witnesses to be exact, asking some tough questions about shunning and whether you're here to commiserate with us or maybe even just learn what being disfellowshipped is and what it's like. Stick around. You can certainly learn tonight, and I'm going to pass it over to my cult leader, Dr. Time Waster. Hi, Dr. Time Waster.
Hello. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Goodbye, Tyler. It was nice to have you on. I hadn't yet got to your introduction, but we'll figure it out. Now, how are you doing? You look beautiful, by the way. Thank you for being here all the time, and we'll figure out why we didn't need him anyway. Let's face it. We're having technical difficulties. Hello, Dan. Welcome. Hello, Jane.
Yeah, I had them early.
Apostate Coalition channel, amazing. Watch lots of great shows. This show usually on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time for all of you few, like 2 people that are on this side. What is it, 10 p.m. Eastern? I can't do that. Well, welcome and thanks for joining, especially if it's 10 p.m. your time or later, or watch it at a reasonable time because it'll be up when it's done. But anyways, welcome. We are doing a part 2 of kind of our leisure discussion last time about shunning and being shunned and all the wonderful feelings we have about it. So if you didn't participate in that conversation, please feel free to participate in this one if you can, but there's good times to be had if you want to go back and watch all that. So anyway.
That's okay.
Yay!
I was trying to sign into YouTube again, so I could type in the comment thing over there.
Did it let you?
Yeah, it let me. I forgot because I used my phone for my camera. It threw a code on my phone, pulled me out of the app that make you use the phone.
Exactly.
Got it.
Howdy ho.
Welcome back.
Howdy ho. Well, we were just doing long-winded introductions, but happy to hang out with everybody. And how are you doing, Tyler? How's life treating you?
My village is looking real good. We're really upping a couple goals. And I just built a shrine, so I'm getting a religion started. So
Gotcha. And this is what platform are you building this community? What game is this? You're
farthest frontier. Farthest frontier.
Are you going to be a cult leader?
Hopefully, I can.
I know. Who doesn't want to join a cult and
what's your name going to be as the cult leader?
What?
What's your name going to be? What will they call you?
T-Sean.
Oh gosh, it would have to be something like one of those spiritual, weirdly new age spiritual names, like Star Spangled Tootsie.
Speaking of that, I went and rewatched that doc on the Heaven's Gate cult that I checked out the time where she said, "Man, I'm glad I missed that one because I was watching and man, it was that bad."
That was a Heaven's Gate documentary.
Yeah, I was like,
on? I can't remember. Was it Netflix or
Max? It's on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Well, Max now.
Max.
But man, I was sitting there looking at them. I said, when I was sitting there, they said, "Yeah, we just sit around and watch Star Trek." I said, I probably would have.
Yeah. That sounds like a cult I would have joined as well. Thank goodness I was, I don't know, in this one. No, wait, what am I saying?
You didn't choose this one. This one chose you.
It's true. Just like I couldn't choose when I was born, who my parents were, where I was born. I really couldn't choose what religion I was born into. And actually, I'm just going to segue that into kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. And that is the interesting spread of data of where people are and what religion they are based on where they were born, who their parents were, and all those things that we just mentioned that you can't control, right? You can't control those things.
No control.
So tonight I have a scientific article I wanted to go over with everybody, and it's unique. It's one I've never actually done before. I mean, let me just step back. I've seen them before, but I've never really gone through one just for fun, if you can call it that. But it's a doctoral dissertation, basically. It is when somebody is going to be a PhD in a particular field, they do something very much like this. And that is whatever they're studying, whatever question they're asking, they in great detail go through and very, very thoroughly try and answer the question as best they can, or whatever they find, right? Whatever data they find. And this happens to be one about Jehovah's Witnesses. So I thought we could learn a little bit about what people actually do in research and spend lots and lots of time learning, but I'll give you like the Cliff Notes version because it's 400 pages, and I don't even know how many years of work was this person's life. So I just want you to know this is somebody who I don't believe was a Jehovah's Witness and wanted to ask this question and spent a lot of time and resources and years doing so. And the level of interest that people have in compassion and wanting to help people who are obviously struggling, like people who say they've been shunned, like people who say they've been in a cult, and you're literally ostracized from society and have no support group. So people who see this from a different perspective look at this and go, well, that's awful. I'd like to help them in some way. And so lots of people go and do different things, social workers, doctors, et cetera. It just depends. And this particular person decided to ask this question. And so I was just going to share it here. I could have pulled it up.
The answer is yes, Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm not watching the chat. Okay.
Ooh.
Can you see this? Does this look all right? Okay. This is a long-winded question, and this is what science does, is when you ask a question, they go, can you be more specific? Because there's a lot of avenues you can go with a question. Let's take, for example, make America great again. How? What's great, right? How would you achieve those things? Can we all agree on what those things are? Are they actually great things?
Right.
Right. So you can't make something so vague and be like, yay, science, I did it. It would be easy then. Okay. So once you get past the annoyance of really long-winded words that are very, very specific and terms and very specific word definitions throughout and stuff, you'll start realizing it's for a good reason. It is for the reason that Jehovah's Witnesses don't want you to read these things, because they're the ones who use the vague language. They're the ones who continue to change the meanings of words to better fit what they want it to mean. Mm-hmm. And how do you want to distinguish yourself from people who do that? And so this is a very extreme example of it, a very highly scientific, like, in order to get this approved and get your PhD, you have to go through a committee of peers who are also in similar fields who then criticize everything that you did. Their job is to go, that's too vague. Can you be more specific? You need to look at it, or think of looking at it a different way. Whatever. They tear it down, and then you do it over again. And then they tear it down, and you do it over again. It can be grueling. Anyway, ask any PhD grad. They're very nice people, by the way, and they love sharing information about their thesis topics. So, really can. Love it. Okay, so a qualitative exploration of the social dynamics of religious shunning in the Jehovah's Witness community. So it's long-winded, but really what this is taking a look at, who the Jehovah's Witnesses are and what happens to the people when they get shunned, and is that good? Is that bad? Right? That's what we're looking at here. Actually, it's not even asking that last question. But we'll get to that. So this is in London, and see if I can pull it up here. This is kind of just like the fancy one, but you can see the school she went to and her doctorate, that she's pursuing, her name, blah, blah, blah. It's all on here. Every research article will have an abstract, which is like the Cliff Notes of Cliff Notes versions, just so you can kind of get an idea. Is this even asking a question that's relevant to what I want to know? And so then it gives you like, well, here's what we did. Here's how we did it. Here's the results, right? And so this is just really quickly. They're looking at the impact on the individuals and strategies employed to cope with the event of being shunned. They looked at the narratives of 2 different groups. Those in Group A were 21 different people, and we'll talk about those. And they were all people who had been disfellowshipped or disassociated, I think. And then Group B was supposed to be elders who were active elders in the congregation to ask them interview questions about shunning, right? And so we'll get to that. But ultimately, they declined, as you can imagine. And we'll get to it because she put her letter to them and then their response to that letter. So I think you guys will find it very interesting. But anyways, they had to scratch that plan because plan B, Group B, can't be elders. They won't do it. So let's find ex-elders if we can, or PMO elders is what they found. So apparently that's a very small group in the United Kingdom. As you can imagine, it might be hard to recruit for a study like this. How do you reach out to PMOs who are elders? So essentially, they describe in great detail how they did that and why they did it, and they put it in the research. But basically, they expanded their search to Australia and the United States, which then got them access to people who had been elders who actually knew the governing body, met the governing body, and trained at the headquarters. And then, of course, Australian Royal Commission, you've got a mixture of, people who probably left being elder or PMO for that reason. We don't know who was what, where. They put fake names on everybody, but the statistics are at the bottom. I'm going to make you care about statistics. I promise. It'll be interesting. So anyways, this is basically what we're looking at here. And what I've done is I've taken, I'm going to show this to you guys.
It is a jail term. Honestly, it is. Tyler typed in the comments, PMO sound weird. It's like a jail term. And to be fair, it really is a jail term.
So, okay. So I took this really, really long 400-page, very, some of it it's hard to read because anything that long is hard to read, but it's very well written and I appreciate the work this person did. But I bookmarked a lot of just basic stuff. So I'm just going to go to it's much shorter with the bookmarks, trust me. So stop me if you're bored.
Stop.
Not at all.
Stop.
Stop.
Go no farther through these pages.
Do you actually want to talk? Because if I'm blowing over it, I'm really just trying to get through.
This is like, this is nothing more than what you listen to during the day while I'm working.
Okay, well, good. Then just chill, relax.
I like the micro learn and just let random things pop into my brain, and then you never know.
Well, you guys are getting me like all amped up and fueled after a very long and busy day. So I'm like, all right. So,
wait a minute. What is this?
This is something that they put in this.
No. Is this something from Jehovah's Witnesses or something?
Were you not fucking listening to what I was saying? It was a whole goddamn time. Okay, Cliff Notes version. It's this lady's PhD, and we're gonna read what she thought, what she researched, and all of the evidence and things that she collected about who are Jehovah's Witnesses, why do they shun, what does shunning do, and
Oh, so she's not a Jehovah's Witness.
She is not a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Was this a Jehovah's Witness thing? Man?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Or
like,
was
God
this?
damn it.
Or was this a third? Or did a third party make it?
Yeah, this is just a person in a field who has a question about things we do as people. And there's this.
Oh, yeah, you did say it earlier now. Okay.
I mean, at no point in time do I believe the word cult is really used. It's not really about doing that, but there are different, I think it's more like sociology terminology that gets used that's interesting. That kind of goes into like, I think they call this a gated closed community. So like Jehovah's Witnesses, she defines it in there, but it's like they're a very closed, kind of high controlling religion. It's not that nobody can go in, they're public, but it's gated and only certain people are kind of really allowed into the layers of the religion. So anyway, my point being is like, she doesn't just say, oh, they're a cult. Like, she's got a very unique perspective on defining how they look as a group from like a sociology perspective. So
they're not a cult. Truth.
That could be subjective to people, I guess. Anyways, this is just the outline, and I just wanted, you don't even have to like read all of it. This is me going, yeah. Who are Jehovah's Witnesses? Boring. Okay. I know that, right? So
Jehovah's Witnesses are boring.
I don't want to really necessarily. I mean, if you want to hear what somebody has to say about what they think it is, that's fine. But I kind of had a feeling they got the gist of it pretty close, so I skimmed some of that. I was kind of looking. This chapter is kind of just teaching you about society, social norms, and some of the research that people do in this field. And some of the like theories and themes that she's using to contextualize looking at what Jehovah's Witnesses do and how does that compare to other cultures and other similar practices and groups, right? And so if you are into that and you want to learn about it, it is not that sciencey worded. So it might, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe a little bit, but it's still interesting. So I'm not selling it. I'm sorry. But it goes into different sections and there's a little summary at the end of each one. This one I thought was a really good chapter for me to read because it talked about the different ways that people grieve in different social situations. And holy crap, that kind of hit a little close to home. So I think I have saved a couple of those pages. But it goes into great depth of, like people who are like immigrating away from a community, children who were adopted and how they might feel shunned or lost or abandoned, and how do people process that kind of information. So it's just, we're not all a monolith and everybody's experiences are maybe similar, but can be influenced by different things. And so this was just kind of pointing out a lot of different ways. So you'll probably identify with at least one of them, if not multiples.
What?
Yes. What?
So what are we doing now? Are you reading over? Are you just kind of going over?
I'm just going over the
outline. Oh, you just saying the outline about, you're not going to dive in deeper into any of those?
No, I will. I have them later. This is all in like the first couple pages.
You're just doing all this foreplay. I understand.
Do you not like it? Do you want me to just right in there and get going?
It's going to be equally as confusing. I don't need you to I'm still stuck on the last thing you're talking about, and you way in the next chapter.
Well, I'm just giving you a brief. This is so an overview, just so I can show you the whole structure of what she did.
Because by the time you get down there, I done forgot what you was talking about up there.
Okay.
Come on, come on, man. I'm just a guy that draws pictures, man.
Okay, then the point I want to make to you is that in answering this question, there's a lot of nuance, and this is how much effort this person went into to answer this question. So then we can just go to a section. How about that?
You should make a course.
Hey, you're getting free education here.
No, I know. I'm not talking about. I'm saying you should make a course. So I was like, I can go for a course. Yeah, you can make a course.
This?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can record this and then I'll just edit it. How about that?
Okay. You can give out homework.
I certainly could, and I've tried to give you homework and you won't do it. So,
but you know, I don't want homework. I gotta do the leg work. I don't want the leg work homework. I want like a worksheet homework. Here's a worksheet I came up with. Here's some questions. Answer these. I don't want to go do all that leg work.
All right. Well, then, how about this? I will make sure that everybody can find this. It's if you've ever just go to like Google Scholar and type it in and just type in the title of the article. You don't even have to get very far. It'll be like the first couple that come up. If not the top. It's easy to find. It's free. And I think it's a great place to start if like you didn't know what to do. Because there's a lot of links that I've looked to or references to other things. And then I go and look at that and I'm like, oh man, this is great. So don't be afraid to just look at it, I guess. And don't be overwhelmed with the length of it. Because really what I'm just showing you here is the Cliff Notes version to find anything that's useful to you. Then you can go and deep dive down below.
You're not hearing me. I don't want to do any of that. Okay. I want you to make me a work. I want you to make me a worksheet and say, hey, what is this? Da 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 da. That's all I want.
Like these?
No, worksheet. Like you was in school. You get hand out a sheet of paper and it's questions that the teacher asked you about. And you got to go look it up to find it.
I don't understand.
I don't see how you don't understand. I mean,
like find the answer and then you just Control F the PDF and find it. And
I mean, like if like you was given a test with questions on there, an open book test, you come up with the questions, and then you just here's some 5 questions I came up with. Then you just go answer those questions.
Okay. And then you go and how do you answer the questions?
You go to this thing and you look it up.
So you just go to the exact place to where that information is.
I don't know whatever the questions you asking. I don't know what. It doesn't matter. There's no certain question. It's whatever type of question you want to ask. I was just throwing out a type of question, and then we do it. Then we give it to you, and there we go. Or we just meet up and see. Or we just meet up and see what our answers were.
Okay.
Well, it don't have to necessarily be this topic. It could be any topic.
Okay. I'm trying to think of then a question I can ask you.
Don't ask me now.
What?
Don't ask me now. What now?
You're confusing the hell out of me. We should take this offline. No, but if you guys don't want, like, if we don't want to go through this page by page, I wasn't really intending to. I was just gonna do like a brief overview of the whole thing, and then just go to the parts that I thought were the most interesting myself. But mostly, I did want to show you those graphs there at the bottom because of the way that she breaks stuff down, and then you can just agree with it.
You can just go to the ones that you find most interesting.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to remember the other things if they're not.
All right.
I'm not gonna. I need the best information, the most information I can get.
Let's see. Where was it? Mhm. This one. These two, 3 and 4. Because one, this was just validating. and 2, this one down here just satisfies my curiosity, and helps me get perspective on, I don't know, who I am and where I'm at and things, and also validity. So let's see, I don't know if I have, wait, what page was it? Dun, dun, dun. 66 and 103. Okay. Whoops. Whoa. Okay. Well, obviously I just highlighted these things. I don't know what to tell you. This is 2. Okay, the literature review. See, I didn't highlight this stuff.
See how the Jehovah's Witness, if they could just
You put me on the spot here because I
come on, perform.
Okay. Fine. We're just gonna do this. So I was curious about the arms of the study, which is the group A and group B, right? Because if you think about it, how am I going to find information about this question I'm asking? And you should probably just start by interviewing people, and then you go, well, what kind of people should I interview? Should there be a certain, like, do we want to get a big enough group that represents the population? So they think they only got people who were of the age of 18. So they had to be an adult. So keep that in mind, because none of this applies to children who were shunned. This is only adults that she did this research on. And, what happens to children being shunned is really actually not even discussed. Not because she was purposely excluding it, but because when you do a research study, it's really hard to get ethics to include minors, but also difficult to get parents of minors to agree to have them in a study. So, it's just easier to start with adults to ask the question and then go from there. So, basically, you've got the first arm, which was as many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses they could find that had been disfellowshipped or disassociated, and then elders, if they could find them. And then they couldn't find any actual elders, so then they went to ex-elders or PMOs. And so I thought this was interesting. She included in her study, or in her documentation there at the end, a letter that she sent them, her name, that she was awarded a grant to do this study. Let's see. Undertake the PhD practice of disfellowshipping adopted in the Jehovah's Witness community. The research has received ethical clearance from their university ethics committee, which also probably took a lot of time. I would be interested in exploring your perspective as elders of the community on this practice, the reasons which may lead to be disfellowshipped from the group, and whether it is possible to be reinstated. Contact me, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know if this was probably included with it, and it's a description of the study. So this is what she sent. This is what I'm going to do. Experiencing disfellowshipping in the Jehovah's Witness community and explorative research on religious shunning. You can see this was probably an earlier title that then got changed over time, because that's also what happens when you're doing research. Maybe it wasn't included in the elders letter, but this was something that was probably to recruit maybe for the study. The purpose of the study to present study aims to explore the experiences of being disfellowshipped from the Jehovah's Witness community and the leaving process. It will also aim at understanding the processes and the reasons for disfellowshipping a member. As a Jehovah's Witness who has been disfellowshipped not less than 7 months before reading the recruitment announcement, you're being asked to share your experiences of being shunned. As part of this process, you will be asked a number of questions during the interview covering different aspects of the experience to understand disfellowshipping and the leaving process. Okay, nevertheless, if you think this topic may be upsetting you, I would advise you to not take part in the research. The interview will take between 1.5 hours, and with your permission, it will be audio taped. I will also ask you for your permission to contact you after the interview in the event that any clarification is necessary. And then there's, I think, a follow-up to it. Anyways, there's a lot of information here about like the steps and the after stuff and the codes of ethics. And I think it's a pretty transparent as best as somebody could be for this is one person trying to do this study. And they were successful in getting at least, several people to participate in the study. They do mention how many people were recruited and how many people didn't complete the study. Every research that works with that kind of stuff has to report that. Just so you can know, like, why were they excluded from the study, making sure they're not cherry picking people. You'd want to make sure that they're not purposefully picking people who are going to be, protesters of Jehovah, because then if you don't account for that kind of stuff and document it, then people who don't like the science that you've come out with, right? Like if the Jehovah's Witness organization is like, we don't like that you said this and we think that you picked biased people, she now has the receipts to say nuh-uh. So it's important to know these things and to trust a source that is upfront about these things as well. So good source. Whoops. Hey, it's fine.
I meant to hit mute. I was like, wait, what did I just do? That was like such a shock. Sorry, guys.
That's
Jump
right.
here.
She also included the rejection letters that the elder sent for her request. So it says I don't know, whatever congregation it was. Regarding the request for information about disfellowshipping, thank you for sending us a letter last month in which you requested more information regarding the subject of disfellowshipping amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. We feel the best source of information can be found on jdap.org. More specifically, under the frequently asked questions about Jehovah's Witnesses section, dummy, there you will find an article entitled, "Do Jehovah's Witnesses Shun Those Who Used to Belong to the Religion?" That's all the information you'd need. I don't know why you would bother us with your request to talk to us in person. The above information explains fully our perspective on the matter. We hope you enjoy using our informative website. Kind regards.
Oh, it's so enjoyable.
So, anyways, I went to that site. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. Have you been there? Have you
I've
seen
been
it?
on there 1 to 17 times a day.
I've been on there never.
Been on there never. That is good.
Look at
So
that.
this is the article that they recommended.
Correct. This is the you don't need to talk to us. Everything you need is right here.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. Sorry, I'm just tweaking it here. So, okay. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, very long. I think that's it. All right. There it is.
Okay,
There it is, folks. In a nutshell. Only one scripture, too. Huh. Succinct. I like it. Guess. All right. No, it's not. Does anyone else want to read this? Is everybody tired of hearing my voice?
I can read it unless Tyler wants to.
You can go ahead and read that down.
Okay. Well, let me make it a little bigger for me. Okay, there we go. That's perfect. Okay. Who used to belong? Oh, wait, okay. So do the Jehovah Witnesses shun in their religion?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're
Here we
good.
go.
That's fine. So those who were baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses but no longer preach to others, perhaps even drifting away from association with fellow believers, are not shunned. In fact, we reach out to them and try to rekindle their spiritual interest. We do not automatically disfellowship someone who commits a serious sin. If, however, a baptized witness makes a practice of breaking the Bible's moral code and does not repent, he or she will be shunned or disfellowshipped. The Bible clearly states, remove the wicked man from among yourselves. What of a man who is disfellowshipped but whose wife and children are still Jehovah's Witnesses? The religious ties he had with his family change, but blood ties remain. The marriage relationship and normal family affections and dealings continue. Disfellowshipped individuals may attend our religious services. If they wish, they may also receive spiritual counsel from congregation elders. The goal is to help each individual once more to qualify to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Disfellowship people who reject improper conduct and demonstrate a sincere desire to live by the Bible standards are always welcome to become Jehovah's Witnesses again. And then they skipped over the part of like, okay, but what happens when you are a blood relative, but you live outside of the
They are a master at what they do.
Right?
They stretched out. They said the same thing over and over.
It's hot garbage.
I said, what are you talking about? Do you Jehovah's Witness shun those who do you shun or not? That's yes or no. What is all this extra?
Really?
Do you shun or not? No. Hold on. Let me tell you. Wait. You know they ain't high. We don't really. Then you said you shun those, so you do though.
But yeah, we do. Yeah, we totally do.
The 2 witness rule is only for like when they want to get away with CSA. That's the only time they care about the 2 witness rule. Somebody had to witness you being assaulted. But this fellowshipping, anybody can get it.
Abuse.
Everybody gets it.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know.
They're good, man.
I bet.
There you go. I mean, any questions? You shouldn't have any questions, right? We're done.
Good.
I'm surprised they took the other. Wasn't there the was it Galatians? I kind of forget what the other scripture was.
You know how many people?
I don't know.
You know how many people read that?
Changed a little bit, maybe. Who knows? Who cares? But
how many? You know how many people in that religion probably read that and say, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Oh, of course it makes sense.
I mean, I didn't bat an eye at any of it because I'm like, yep, that is exactly like what I would have expected.
Why am I being shunned by my parents if we're still blood relationship? Like, what's the problem, Bob?
I was like, man, this don't sound weird to y'all.
Very strange.
That's odd. That's an odd statement. I don't know, man. It just seemed weird.
No,
I can't put my finger on it, but it just seems like it just sounds like just after all that talking, just sounds like
circular, like
the way they talk is like they're saying nothing and making it sound like they're saying something, but they're not saying anything. They're not saying nothing. They're just leading you through all these different words here, there, till you just get tired and just say, "Yo, okay."
Wear you down. Wearing you down.
Now there is a half truth, which happens a lot to people, is like that half truth in the beginning, that there is a way to fade that not many people know about, but you can kind of fade away and not get disfellowship, but that doesn't mean you won't be shunned for no longer.
Oh, right.
Like there's like a half truth there. Like they might not disfellowship you, but you're gonna.
But typically y'all entire family is Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, exactly.
And
your whole foundation.
We'll still shun individuals in our family. You know, like I've known lots of families who had somebody who was disfellowshipped and it at like children age, you know, like still living under the house of their parent. And like it's not the same. The family goes and does stuff without them, right? Like it happens. So it's not like, oh, but you still get to nope, we just don't include you in the fun things anymore. Oh yay. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, who is this?
Hang on one second. My volume is like all the way down.
Jeez.
We
Oh,
can
my.
hear you loud and clear.
You done sinning?
No, not yet. Man, I can barely hear y'all. I might have to do something. Let me go grab headphones, see if I can fix it.
All right.
All right. He's
Whatever.
scared.
Come late, disrupt us, not
Mhm.
prepared. It's always something.
Look at him.
Yep,
There's always
coming
these back.
in.
There's all these backsliders.
Interrupting the meeting. We're all trying to learn something here.
Yeah, you're trying to,
Mhm.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn about like wow. It's wild, man. Like man, oh.
It's a shame ritual. It really is just a ritual to make people afraid, fearful. Well, fearful, afraid, the same fucking thing. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. To deter.
That's weird, man. That's
I
mad.
also want to
culty.
point out the First Corinthians quote they gave. How many different ways do you think that we as humans could interpret that scripture to mean to do, as in divine authorization to remove the wicked man from among yourselves, when wicked is a subjective term that people will interpret to be anything they want, right? How many people have been disfellowshipped for being wicked, right? And like really didn't do anything wicked? Like, are you sure that's wicked? But the end result is the same, right? If you get shunned, you get shunned, and all the harm that goes with it, and all the consequences socially and emotionally and physically and economically that go with it, because you're wicked, because they've deemed it that way. But you know, what if somebody were to just, I don't know, walk up on the street in the middle of New York City and shoot a billionaire? Is that guy fulfilling God's wishes?
Oh yeah, that was definitely fulfilling our wishes.
I mean,
God is the collective unconsciousness.
God told him to do it.
Yes. Ooh, too funny.
Welcome, Dobstopper.
Thank you. I can hear you now.
We're glad you decided to come from your wicked ways and get
Yep.
back into the word.
Right.
Get back.
We were
Yep.
gonna have to do something about your wicked ways here
Yeah.
shortly.
I'm visiting. I am out of town. I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, you out in the world, huh? You out there in the world.
Being
Big
worldly.
town.
Oh, she's out there in the world.
Big city.
Out here being worldly, huh?
City slick. I'm right in the middle of the town.
Tisk tisk.
Now, where you say you was at?
Middle of Little Rock.
The middle of Little Rock?
Yeah.
Bad.
I'm not downtown. I'm not downtown, but I'm in a nicer area, I guess.
Okay.
But still kind of in the middle of everything.
Little Rock. I forgot about Little Rock. All I remember about Little Rock is banging in Little Rock.
They got a lot of trees in the city.
That sounds so wrong.
They got more woods than any other big city I've been in. Woods everywhere.
Oh, is it a big city?
Yeah.
Big, how big?
Oh, not huge.
Ah.
It's, I don't even know what the population is. I'm trying to think of a city to compare it to. I mean, it's smaller than Memphis, and Memphis is a lot smaller than your Texas city, so it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Pardon.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, buddy.
I mean, it's still got some skyscrapers, and it's many miles across, but
Don't worry, Dobstopper. I'm not going to Little Rock no time soon.
oh, come on over.
It's not on my checklist of places to go.
I ate at Gus's Fried Chicken today. It was worth the trip to Little Rock. Best fried chicken.
All right. We're all hungry now. Thanks a lot. I'm not done telling you about my nerdy likes about this section, and so you're
Oh,
just
we're
gonna
just waiting on. We're just waiting on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here. Dobstopper, while you were gone, I'm looking at the data that this doctoral candidate put in here in her dissertation, and she is comparing a group of disfellowshipped people
Mhm.
or disassociated people, and comparing them with a elder group, which she tried to get the actual active elders to participate in her study, which was really just more of like an interview process. Like she just wanted them to explain in great detail what they do and what they, like, or whatever detail they were willing to give. Well, they were not willing to give any detail other than that Jehovah's Witness article that we were just talking about as you came in. They were like, please see our website. You're welcome. And then, so she opted for an alternative, which was to get PMO and ex elders to participate and interview. And so she got not a lot of them, but she got like 12 people from Australia, America, and the UK to participate. And so I wanted to look at I'm such a nerd. I'm like, I always want to go to the details of the data. Like, what's the
Right.
spread? How many different people were they? How many were men? How many were women? How many were, like, what kind of demographics did we collect here? I want to look at it. I want to see where I go. So one
Current
of the
belief,
things they
I
collected-
just want to say real quick, current belief for Emma is very cool. Good job,
right.
Emma.
Right. They are not they're not their real names, but basically these are the things they collected. So their age
I
range,
agree.
just to, not make it too specific. You don't want to call people out, right? Were they born into it? Were they raised in it? And there was a couple of question marks I had for being raised in it because I was like 2 years old, 3 years old. But I think the point just being that your parents were the ones that converted, you weren't generationally. So when I see
Mhm.
born into, it's a kind of more like you were generationally raised into it. And then it goes, into the spread. Like, when were they baptized? When did they get disfellowshipped? What's their current status? And what's their current belief system? So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Looking at who converted and who's still Christian and who's still whatever. And because I'm a nerd, I wanted to, and these are the elders who's obviously some people decided to not give really any information other. Are we shocked that they're all men? That is the one commonality they were all willing to share.
I'm a man. I'm a man.
I'm a man. And so, big
Man.
name, male, PMO elder. Not really surprised he's not going to give any more information. And that's fine. That wasn't really necessary for the meat of the study. This is just the demographics so people can know. So later on, there's a different way of looking at it. And this was actually, I jumped to, I think is this being weird here? There we go. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. This is just another way of looking at the same information, which sometimes I like to do. And then they even have graphs here that give you a little pie chart so you can see, who's currently a Christian and who currently has no religion, because apparently in the white America, USA, and UK, that's what we do.
A
We're
lot with
either
your
Christian
religion.
or atheist.
That's awesome.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't
I
get
said a lot with no religion.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah. So just a different visual of some of the data they collected. I think this is another one. This is the elder one, oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This is the
less
elder.
less than half have full-time employment.
Mm.
How
Yeah.
that's relevant? I think I could probably make it relevant with it's going to be a lot bigger impact on you if you do not have full-time employment whenever you get shunned from your family or shunned from whoever your financial.
Yeah, that was certainly some interesting data to collect too, because like because really what this is a research article for is kind of a social perspective. So you kind of have to take into what we have to do socially as humans into the study, right? It would have been kind of dumb if they didn't collect that, because it does matter. It does change dynamics, right? Like if you're a self-employed Jehovah's Witness who got shunned, and all of your workers or co-workers were in the same religion and went to the same congregation, that kind of makes, life more challenging in a completely different way, and maybe in a more unique way than somebody who was a housewife who whatever didn't have to do those things or could avoid those kinds of situations. So people, I think one of the bigger points that this research article did do well is point out how everybody's slightly different social situations can create a very different picture of what it takes to cope with this, right? And some people have a harder time in different ways, and some people have to go through a type of grieving differently and can be on different timelines, and that's okay. And to expect any one group of person to have experienced something that I think we can all relate to, and we can talk to each other and feel like we have shared experiences, but yet our circumstances were different, our risks were slightly different, the social implications were slightly different, and it's okay that we have a different path for growth, for healing. And so I think that was a good validating point of this article as well, as just highlighting how people struggle differently. Because you have a different job, for God's sakes, right? Or any number of these demographics that they collected. But anyway, here's my nerdy stuff, and sorry about my terrible handwriting here. I did this very quickly on my lunch break. Sorry. This is how nerdy I am. Yes, I did barely take a lunch today, and yes, I did do math on my lunch break. So I went through and I looked at all the different ones, and I kind of put them here. So of all the converts, people who converted to being a Jehovah's Witness, they were likely already Christian. I don't know if they capture that data, but they're all still Christian. So of the 21 people, 6 of them converted and are still Christian. And I guess I'm not surprised by that, right? Of the 7 that were born in, none of them are religious. And I find that, and that's where the antitheist is as well. So, yeah, I was born in, and I also am not religious. So I'm kind of feeling like, yeah, I can identify with this group. There's some people in here I can identify with. And then so on and so forth, right? There were some who were raised in who were not religious, some who were born in, I guess not all of them. Sorry, I said they were all not religious, but a larger portion of them. But, there was like 2 versus 7, etc. So I kind of like, just for fun, I broke down the math a little bit differently. So like I said, of the 52% who remained Christian, right? So if you look at over here, 3 were Christian, 2 Christian, and 6. So I did the math on that, and it's 52% of the total group remained Christian, and more than half of them were converts from other Christian religions. So I was like thinking about it, and I was like, well, yeah, if people were like looky-loos, right? Tyler's mom and Tyler's family, you guys weren't really Christian, but
I thought you was insulting us for a moment.
No.
You said some looky-loos.
Looky-loo.
What do you?
People who like go, I'm gonna try this religion for a while, or I'm gonna go see about this one, or what do these people over here do? There's nothing wrong with that. I just call them like you're window shoppers, right?
No, at first I forgot what we was talking about. I forgot what we was talking about at first. I said, why is she talking about me like this?
Anyway, I wasn't really surprised
because what happened was like I was listening to you, then I started drifting off, and it felt like it felt like he was calling me out. So I was just like, I started quickly looking at the thing trying to figure out what we was talking about.
I have done that a couple times.
That's right. You're in my class now. Wake up. I'm gonna
No,
call
no,
on
no.
you.
You failed the class because you admitted that. Yeah.
Anyways, it's just various things. Like, I'm not surprised if you were like, hey, let's try this religion out for a while, and then you're like, fuck this. I'm gonna go to a different one, right? Because they were already maybe doing that, right? Or just you've already tried two. I tried one. I was born in it, and it was so traumatizing. I was like, you know what? I don't really know if I want to even try another one. Why don't I just like wait and see how it goes first? And then I just never pursued it because I found I just didn't need it. I didn't miss it,
You
and
always
it
need
didn't feel like it
Jehovah.
added anything.
You always need Jehovah.
Apparently, and yet I don't feel it. So,
Because you don't,
uh,
you like, what's that thing? Your heart all hard up and stuff.
okay,
Heart.
then what do I got to
I
do to unharden it? Does the book say anything about how to, or just
Yeah.
bitching and
Yeah.
complaining about people who they don't think are good enough?
I felt the same way. Like I didn't get anything out of any other religions after no longer being a JW, or at least Christian ones. I get a little bit out of Buddhism now, but that's so wildly different from
Yeah.
all the other religions that
I got
it's a different category. It might as well be.
Mm-hmm.
I got into that too. And then I just said, nah.
I mean, understandable.
Not for me.
I said, that's cool to think about, but I just don't care about it at all.
The only
Like,
thing I
I think
really
it's
Not
cool.
that into it.
It's cool. Like I like aspects of it, but I don't really like I just want I like just take bits and pieces of different things
yeah.
and then make that whatever it is I want to be. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'll take
Can
a
I just
piece of
take
what
the
you
best
do.
bits?
Can I take a little bit of that? But I don't
Yeah.
want the
Yeah.
other stuff, just that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Buddhism, I mostly just focus on my breath and meditate a little bit. I ain't worried about the reincarnation part really, or none of that.
Well, if it happens, it happens, right?
Yeah,
If it
whatever.
does, yeah.
Does you believing in it make it happen or not happen any differently?
I don't think so.
At least not in that religion, but apparently in others, if you like in the Jehovah's Witness religion, if you don't do it just perfectly, you can still
Well,
be.
I guess in Buddhism, the goal is to be aware that you should not want to reincarnate. I think is what they is what the goal is. Don't come back into this shit. Once is enough.
What if
Don't choose to
that's so
reincarnate.
funny?
Rough.
Okay.
Really got to start doing the work.
Okay, but one of those like weird fantasy things that I've always thought of is like, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to, once we're done with this life, experience what it's like to be everything in the universe? Like, I wanted to be reincarnated as a frog,
Mhm.
or I wanted to be an octopus at the bottom of the ocean and just
I think
know what it's
Buddhists.
like to do it.
Would you? But here's the thing about how would you be? You wouldn't know if you're being reincarnated or not. You wouldn't know.
It could be happening to me right now.
Yeah, you could be.
That's what they think.
Yeah, you
They
could have
they
been.
think that you've been doing that. You've been experiencing
Right.
everything, and it's been making you suffer.
And,
So you should
and maybe
decide
I
to
have, and
stop.
maybe I haven't. But wouldn't it be nice if I could remember it and learn from those experiences? And wouldn't that
Exactly.
make a better religion for growing and becoming a better person? Is if you could actually
See,
learn
you ask.
from your mistakes.
See. You're asking for something when there's nothing to ask for.
More just like commenting on if religion and God were real and all this stuff was real, if we can imagine something better, then is it really that good? Is it worth doing? If I can imagine a system where even reincarnation has a faster turnover rate of growth because we can actually learn from our lifetimes and mistakes, then I'm already over Buddhism. It's like, oh.
Well, I don't think Buddhism is trying. Buddhism is not trying to give you a fantasy. It's trying to tell you what people observe. They're like, we think for this reason that there's a reincarnation, but
right.
They're not saying that they can't come. They're saying that this is a bad system. Samsara is
But if
something you
it's
want to
without
escape.
evidence, then it is still kind of just wishful thinking, right? It's an observation
there's still some.
of.
See, this will
lack
happen
of
when y'all.
evidence.
Yep.
This will happen when y'all start backsliding.
Yeah, it's not really based on evidence. It's based on anecdotal
Come on, you know the truth. I need to get back in line with Jehovah.
experience.
I don't like this. Y'all speaking, they speaking worldly words up here.
Oh, worldliness.
See, look at Little Rock changing you, man.
I know.
You out in the big city, boy.
Big city boy.
I already feel a lot more in debt to society. Living here.
I also wanted to just kind of show you guys really quick, like, I know, like, thinking about statistics has got to be like the most boring thought in the world, and don't underestimate how much I will avoid studying statistics, because come on, like, it's so much worse than you know. But it's also how people can manipulate data and make it seem more important. And so I think where its utility lies in pulling out useful data to highlight things, which is good. I'm not saying that's bad, but people also know how to manipulate statistics to make things look differently too. So anyway, I kind of was just doing a bunch of different ways you could say the same thing. So with this data, because there's 21 people, right? 11 and 10 are highlighted there. 52%, 11 stayed Christian, but 6% or 6 people, which is 55% of the 11, of those converted from other Christian religions. 48%, 10 are not religious, and 7 or 70% of those people were born in, and 0% are Christian converts. So anyway, like, you can just show all the different ways that data can be used to make statements or get you to look in a different direction or to get you to think about different things. And while that isn't bad, it is just helpful to know, because sometimes you're like, and what does that prove? And what does that prove? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to look at it. I just thought it was interesting that more people who were born into the Jehovah's Witness organization ended up atheist or not religious, agnostic. Yes, sir. Did you have a question, or were you wanting me to scroll up?
No, I was sitting there like, man, this is so niche.
My information. I know.
No. I was just thinking like, no. That's not what that's
this
what
entire podcast.
I was sitting there thinking like, man, like how are we going to get people to look at all this? They're not going to look at it.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, they're not going to look at none of it. Nobody's going to spend. Nobody's going to look at this data but us.
I know.
Dude, what if
I just want people to experience somebody who they've hung out with a little bit and get a little taste of, you don't even know how nerdy I am. But it can be interesting.
I'm the author of this.
And that's why I was sitting there thinking like, man, I'm having a great time. I said like, wow. I was like, wow, this is like very niche. It's a very exclusive club here. Like,
I also know about octopus neurology. You want to guys talk about that?
Like, is this how I felt to be in Is this how I felt to be a Jehovah's Witness?
No. The opposite. Because you're given a ton of stuff that has no data, and you just have to sit there and listen to people drivel on about nonsense for an hour.
Yeah, did you want to go back to what the Jada Borg has to say on this 400-page thesis?
Do you want us to read the first book that we read when we started this podcast?
Yeah, should we go back to the beginning? Circle back?
Circle back. I might become a Jehovah's Witness.
I hope the author of this dissertation sees this podcast eventually. Like, oh, good, all these people are enjoying my work.
Like this is niche. Oh, I'm having a great time. You know, I like going in niche because I go deep on other topics. Nobody's dabbling over here.
Well, this is a bigger audience than many research papers can hope to achieve. So
it's a hot.
That is the best slam, and yet the most accurate and nice thing to say.
I somehow joined into a rebel alliance against y'all empire.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're rebelling against the J-Dub?
Yeah, I'm not even.
Ex-J-Dub Empire?
Yeah, ex-J-Dub Empire. The Shun strike back.
The
Shunning.
Strike Back.
The shun strikes back.
There's something there.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good title. The Shun Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
Nope, that didn't work.
I wish more people did. I wish more people. I just can't believe it. Like, the more people can't. Like, it's not a lot of people that's interested this deep.
Oh, maybe nobody who's watching this is interested. They're just so nice and they love us.
I know.
Yeah, that's probably it.
But that's why we're just putting it out into the ether of the internet. And if this isn't your jam, that's okay. If it is your jam, boy, you should just, like.
And the internet's gonna be around forever, so.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's just pretty cool. Like, there's a different section. There's a whole new section of people. That's just like, it's a section of people. Like the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, y'all was shunned both sides. Everybody
from both ends.
Both ends, man. Nobody wanted to be around y'all. I mean, we were like, get away from here. There was Jehovah's Witness, man, outside the store again. Oh man, leave me alone. That was bothersome, man. It's like, ugh. But now y'all becoming humans again. Welcome.
Yeah. Well, I think also if you were to bring something like this to one of your Jehovah's Witness family members, especially ones who might be shunning you, one, they're not going to read it, even though there's absolutely nothing scary or wrong about this. It's just pointing out observations and, But if you were at all going to hear things that would say discredit this perspective, because this person isn't a Jehovah's Witness who gathered this data. I already saw who was making jokes. Dan, you can't trust demographics because it starts with demons. It's a perfectly good reason to discredit accurately obtained and collected and reviewed data because it doesn't meet with what you want it to say, and that's where I think if anybody is going to immediately dismiss things because without reading it as inaccurate or a bad portrayal. You don't even have to read the words. You can go to things like this graph right here, where they're describing the life cycle of religious affiliation. And it goes to life as a Jehovah's Witness and compares it to religious shunning. And you can see becomes a Jehovah's Witness. Then it goes into, I think, they talk about baptism. She'd made comments about how anyone who was really born in the religion is almost obligated to get baptized, which I felt very seen. But just kind of a prime choice versus a decision made as an adult, right? Internal and external drives, the role of fear and moral integrity and self-actualization. They go into more detail of what they mean by that if you go in and read it, but it's basically just how you see the morality of the world around you and then how you apply it to yourself or see yourself. And so reasons for being shunned in the religious side or the religious shunning side, the judicial committee, the facets of religious shunning, and then reinstatement. This is not a Jehovah's Witness. And I'm like, yep, you got it all right there. You got the right terminology. Gosh, you sound like a witness, You're using all the right words. You know the process because she interviewed all these people who were really Jehovah's Witnesses. And so, if her information had come from a Satan source or whatever, well, I guess Satan can be accurate too. Gosh, no, there we go. I guess I ruined my own point. But the fact is that if they were not a real source, right? If they're like, oh, well, how do I know there were really Jehovah's Witnesses that got interviewed? Well, I don't know. The data seems to look pretty right? The terminology seems okay. It seems like they've got the gist of it when you read through it. So just when you're just reading the rest of it, like the tips on dealing with grief and how people deal with this differently, and like there's a lot of good material in here. You can trust it because you can also trust this part, right? Like they're being upfront, they're being transparent.
What
Yeah.
what is Jehovah's Witnesses stance on tattoos?
Tattoos.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to get them, but if you already have them, whenever you join, I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Cool. Just checking. Thinking about
Oh, I think this is the one I really wanted to highlight my point that I was trying to make earlier on the wrong slide. Just talking about like the different level of influence, and then how the hierarchical structure, elders having the authority within the congregation, and then down to like, I like how the compliant and the PMO members are kind of on the edge there, and yet any of them can lead to shunning. And then just being part of the out group, right? You're not trying to get back in. And then they go and look at it from the higher level up, including the higher leadership and the larger influences, because they're the ones who make all of the literature that the ones from within are doing. And so it all, of course, they're going to claim we're missing the Jehovah line here somewhere, but it's invisible. You can't see it. So it's accurate. Anyway. So that's pretty much all I wanted to point out. I don't want to go even more boring here, but
it's not
there
boring.
was a lot of good like conclusions that this author came to, and also had goals for this to be basically something that people in like the medical and healthcare community can read and then understand how it, like if you're a psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist, or any doctor or a healthcare worker who does work with people, and just knowing this and understanding that this is the background where people come from really kind of explains a lot, right? It can explain a lot of anxiety and financial issues people might be having, and really kind of fill in the gaps of things that we as people who might be experiencing this don't have words to explain it. How do you explain this to somebody who's not been a Jehovah's Witness, especially if maybe you've been one your whole life and now you have no support structure? And how do you tell a doctor or a therapist what you're going through? How do they understand what you're going through? And so this was somebody who heard that, felt that, and decided to come up with a guide of sorts. And then even proposed it to go even further, like helping the police understand how to work with Jehovah's Witnesses, and helping, legislators and policymakers so that we can help protect children who are being shunned. Because again, this study really only talked about adults. And so we're not even really getting into the depths of how it can apply to adolescents. So
What is their recommendations for how the police should interact with?
how did I know you were going to be interested in that? I don't think I actually read all that part. I'll be honest. I had 1 week to read 400 pages, and I unfortunately didn't read as much as I wanted to. But that's okay, because I'm still getting something out of it, and good enough is sometimes good enough. So yeah, I don't know. We can read it together if you want. I can also make sure you have a copy of this and you can read the sections you want. It's really not that hard. Actually, I would love your opinion if you wanted to read it, and just let me know, do you think it's readable? And anybody who watches this or is in the chat right now, if you guys do, again, you can go to like Google Scholar and you can just punch in the title, a qualitative exploration of the social dynamics of religious shunning in the Jehovah's Witness community, or even
Love
part
long
of that,
titles.
or even just the word shunning, which is how I found this in the first place. You can find this, it's free, and I would love to get people's opinion on if you just want to read the sections you're interested in, and or all of it, and just let me know if you think this is this just like too scientific-y nonsense? Is it boring, or is it interesting? Is this public friendly, I guess, is what I'm trying to.
Unfortunately, I enjoy stuff like that, but I fear my other humans don't care.
I feel like there's probably some interesting. There are like titles and stuff I see that interest me. I feel like there's probably information that could be made interesting to people if you put like a Subway Surfers video underneath me talking about it.
Well, there's being entertained while you learn, and I don't get me wrong. There's value in learning different ways, right? That's why propaganda works so well.
Right.
It's because there's a lot of taking advantage of how people learn best, and then using that as a tool to manipulate you. But that's why if you learn about how people learn, then you can catch it. But anyways, beware those who don't want you to learn anymore. And I think just exposing yourself to people like this author, who clearly is writing in the most transparent way they can possibly be, is refreshing, and you just start to see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you go back and you read the Jehovah's Witness stuff, and you're like, oh my God, this is a second grade reading level. How did I not catch that they're not saying anything? As Tyler said, they're talking in circles and they're not actually saying anything concrete. You can hear politicians doing it. You can, once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
Yeah, it really annoys you. Like you recognize it and like, okay, like I get the point. Like stop repeating yourself.
And like a salesman, stop talking to me. I get it.
Right.
Already, I know what the deal is. Stop. I don't know. No, don't. When we see those people from the when people on those segways in the neighborhood.
People ride segways in your neighborhood? I ain't never seen nobody riding a Segway in public.
Only person who looks good on a Segway is Weird Al.
It's not really a Segway. It's more of those little
hoverboard?
Little scooters?
Yeah, hoverboard things, yeah.
Okay.
They just go around selling stuff. It's like, oh my goodness, get away from here.
Being on the hoverboard is also very goofy looking, but not quite as goofy looking as a Segway.
Yeah, with your little clipboard trying to solicit. Oof. Hurry up.
A clipboard on a hoverboard? Oh, that's.
So I hurry up and get in the garage and drop it on them. Like, no, thank you. Don't even talk to me. No, so I want to get that sign that says we sacrifice you to the old gods, not the new. Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes.
Get that, put that on the door.
Would be Yahweh, right? Would he be one of the old gods?
No. Well, no, I wouldn't consider.
How old are we going? Like how old?
Yeah, okay, old again is like a subjective kind of.
Yahweh could, if you're talking about the Yahweh from
the Elohim, is that
Philistine.
The old
I ain't even worried about y'all guys. I'm over here. I'm thinking more Odin.
Yeah. Well,
right,
I don't remember whose gods are the oldest.
Odin. They just sound like they sound cooler. Like, oh man, even when you go read the real stuff, it's really like Thor is not as Marvel. Thor is not actually how Thor really is.
I think Yahweh was in the Canaanite pantheon, wasn't I think?
I mean, there's
yeah.
So he's pretty old back if you go back to that part.
Man,
there's older gods from the Canaanite pantheon than him, so technically he's actually like a new addition to the Canaanite.
It sounds like we're talking about a comic book, but
it sounds like Pokemon editions.
But this is like
you get the first packs.
But yeah, But this is people's reality.
It's his Pokédex.
These are people's reality right here. Yeah, I collected me a couple. Give me a
I think
couple.
you always
Alright.
the God of War in the Canaanite pantheon, if I'm not mistaken.
See, you well read.
And then the Israelites adopted him as their official god after they defeated the Canaanites. I think.
It's almost as if human civilization has evolved to accumulate, absorb, reabsorb, change, mold, remold, and put a lot of gods into one, and then one god into many, and then just like an accordion going back and forth until we feel satisfied in our society at the time, and then we change it again because time is always changing and circumstances are always changing and we're always changing. But from this time scale, from this moment in time, our generationally, it's hard to see that scale, and so it feels like it's been forever, for as long as we can remember. It is forever. But yeah, it's all made up, guys. Sorry.
I know, but
Sorry to tell you.
but
Hate to have to tell you.
I always say this though. I said this a long time ago. This is the first time this many non-believers can actually see the other non-believers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, man, everybody's popping up out the woodworks.
Yeah.
Where you been?
Yeah.
Where you been?
And that's actually an interesting statistical phenomenon that I want to point out, and that people misuse that, because people will say, why is it all of a sudden there's all these non-believers around here? Or why is it all of a sudden there's so many gay people or trans people around? It's a new phenomenon that's just blown up.
Right.
Or could it be our data collection has gotten better, right? Could it be that we're able to, test for diseases better, and then we know it's not really that it's gotten worse, it's that we can actually collect the data more accurately now. And because our data collection has improved, the graph does go up pretty sharply, but they've been there the whole time.
We're at
It isn't new.
We're at the cusp of something. Something that's, we're at the cusp of something. We're at the beginning of something. We ain't gonna be there, we'll be dead probably. Not to bum you out. Not to bum you guys
Some
out.
time to suffer through capitalism.
We're about to take the brunt of it all. We're not gonna enjoy none of the spoils.
Well, I disagree. I think there's spoils of all ages and all times.
Yeah, I know.
And, yes, there are times that might seem harder than others, or really are harder than others, depending on how you look at it, or what perspective you have, or what time frame it is. I'm sure the ice ages were really challenging to live through. But, as Dan says, we made it a long way to get here, and we're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep trying, right? So even if it sucked that all this stuff happened to us, everybody that was in the study that I was talking about.
I need some music. Keep talking.
They were disfellowshipped, and it had been like less than a year, I think, from the time that they got disfellowshipped to the time they saw the flyer. And they explained that in the study of why they picked that time frame, because they were really looking for people to make sure that it had been enough time that they had made a decision of, they felt all the feelings and had gone through all the things, and then could decide if they wanted to go back or not. But I wouldn't have qualified for that study because I had been disfellowshipped for like 20 years before I even remotely would have ever been prepared to have the conversation with this person to do this study. And just like reading through some of the points that they were making about grief and going through it, and just going, and how everybody goes through things differently, it really hit home for me, because I was like, yeah, maybe it took me a little while, maybe I didn't feel safe and had reasons to shove all of that into a space and not deal with it because I had no support. I was suddenly around people who didn't understand where I came from, and I couldn't talk to the people who did. And so I didn't know how to deal with that emotionally. So I just put it in a box and didn't worry about it. And then decided I was going to just go to school and focus
Is
all
there
my
anything
energies
else you
on.
can do with emotions besides bottle them up?
Yes, there are, but
That's what you're
really only
supposed
if you're in a
to
safe space.
And then you shake the bottle,
Oh,
Right.
and then you
Oh, you
pop
poor,
let it
poor,
explode.
poor. You poor
Only
Jehovah's
if you
Witness.
are in a stable environment, like financially and emotionally, can sometimes you open those boxes and go through that stuff. So, yeah.
Whew, tell me about it. That's where I am right now. Whew,
I know.
that's a lot.
It was
Unpack.
tough, man. Not being, man.
Shut up.
I mean, it's been a. I
I
realized.
really like you.
Remember last week? I realized, man, we probably had been shunned this whole time, and I didn't know it.
You're probably still being shunned. Did you ever
Oh,
find
yeah,
out?
you know, never find out. I
No.
need to go ask my mom about. I'm gonna ask my mom about that.
I'm
I'm gonna call her tomorrow.
Did we get
I
kicked
said, Mom,
out?
why you start going to Jehovah's Witness church? Let's see what she say.
I would like you to report back if you do ask her that.
Yeah, I will ask her that.
Well, hopefully this wasn't like too heavy for everybody, and hopefully it wasn't too boring for everybody. But
It's not. It's gonna be. It's one. This is a thing that it's either gonna be. Either you like this type of stuff or you don't.
right.
It's like it's because it's
It's either
boring.
for you or not for you, and that's okay.
It's pretty boring because it's pretty boring stuff. But I had an idea. How can I get? I was thinking like a little. I want to get like a soundboard.
Maybe little sound effects. Yeah, yeah.
I want to put like that church music behind you when you was talking, so it seemed like a little church event. Like, I was thinking about that.
Get a little Madonna like a prayer in the background.
I'm sure we can come up with great. We need to start soundboarding. Soundboarding is a lost art. We need to
Mm-hmm.
I just
I'm
want
in the
Dr.
age
Simon
of the
to just
nerds,
keep
so
running, and then Tyler hits the like laughing sound.
we just record all of Ryan's variable laughs throughout all of episodes of the show. You give a different button for a different laugh.
Yeah. That'd be too much. That'd be too much.
I'm gonna make that happen.
I would pay for that.
I'm gonna make that
I'll
happen.
chip in. Let me know.
That's what happens when see what's happened when you put boring data. Like my brain starts churning. I hear you talking. I said I'm like not even. It's like, oh yeah, it's very it's information I don't particularly need, but it's interesting to hear about it. So I can just hear it, but I'm not absorbing it as much. But I'm like, oh, that is pretty interesting. But I'm able to think about other stuff that I'm trying to do. And that little numbing of that quiets the rest of my brain down. And I can just focus on that one thing. Even though I can hear that, it's not too distracting and I can focus.
Well, anytime you need someone to just zone out to, at the drop of a hat, I can give lectures on warfarin, anticoagulation in general, diabetes med management, methadone, and really any just general pain management. If you guys want to talk about hospice and what hospice care does in Medicare regulations and drug pricing, pharmaceutical industry, really anything about any mechanism of action of any drug and how it works in our body.
My favorite topic.
Totally down for her. I can do an impromptu lecture. Just name the topic.
I like talking about the healthcare industry in general.
There's a lot of drugs out there.
Yeah, I also like talking about the Mario Brothers' influence on the healthcare industry.
Yeah, I gotta do better.
I love the adjusters' influence.
If you want to hear all of the things that I think we should do differently in healthcare, I'm happy to have that conversation. I know what Medicare should do differently.
Oh, I'm sure you would know.
They need to get prayer back in the hospitals, man.
That's it. That was just what I was gonna say. If we just prayed more, we wouldn't have to spend all
Yeah.
this money on drugs.
Yeah,
You
Because
get
this
prayer
is
back.
how when Jesus heals,
You need to get you a subscription to
hands
prayer.
laid on.
Yeah. I need Benny Hill to walk through the hospital and start swinging that coat. And everybody coming and laying hands on people in the hospital. Stop doing it at them church houses.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, wash your hands first, please.
no.
You ain't gotta
That
wash your
washes the
hands. They
Lord
about to
off.
heal them.
The Lord comes off with soap.
What does
They about to heal them.
Yeah.
They about to heal them.
Yeah.
Now walk in this room. You see this rep walk in this room and tell it to grow this man's leg back right here.
Yeah. You think there are any primary literature research like placebo-controlled laying of hands or drug to laying of hands experiments
Yeah.
that we could look for?
Like,
Gotta be.
I don't understand why they would think that I think I heard like that wouldn't be a possible thing to do.
No, ethically, of course not.
I mean, like I'm talking about you talking about your deity that does all this extra stuff. He can't do that.
Oh, you mean like they're saying, oh, we couldn't possibly you can't just the fact that you're
Why
doing
can't I never?
the
How come
test-
I can't never? How come I
I mean, we
can't
can't just
never?
replace people's actual drugs with prayer.
Why do I
for
have to
study.
always? Why do I have to always interpret what it is? How come you just can't show it to me?
Yeah, can God not speak clearly?
Yeah, like why is this a mystery? Or why is
He's fucking Yoda.
why is it like this? Why is it all weird? Like it's just weird. It's like a weird way to give information. Like why are you just giving it this way? It's very it's very remnant of how humans operate. It almost I was like, oh yeah, we made this up for sure. It sounds like us. It don't make no sense. This sounds like a movie.
How dare you? How dare you disrespect my religion?
Man, it sounds like a movie. It sounds like entertainment. It sounds like, oh yeah, that's cool. But then it's like, yo, slow down. I don't need to believe it, but here they are.
I forgot. I was gonna point out that I'm wearing Batleth earrings, like Worf's Batleth Klingons, and Worf got shunned by the entire Klingon Empire. So that
Yeah.
sucked.
He
What do you
did.
think, man?
And all the JWs who loved him probably didn't even click for them.
He wasn't an apostate though. That's why he didn't turn
Oh,
against
that's
the
why.
Klingons. He just dutifully suffered his shunning as he deserves because he deserved it, even though it was something his dad did. But it wasn't even something his dad did. He took the blame for something somebody else's dad did.
What happens if you got like the parents get shunned but the kids don't?
Oh yeah, that sucks too, because that's happened to me. Both my parents were disfellowshipped at the same time. At least it would have sucked if I cared about going to Kingdom Hall.
No, but not you, because how do people handle that?
It's awkward. That's how it's
Yeah.
handled.
You shun your parents in the house. It's weird.
Oh, you don't shun your parents. No.
You don't shun?
They say that you don't. They say that you don't
if you do, then you're being disrespectful. They'll spank you or something.
I mean, it's one of the commandments that you're supposed to obey your parents, though.
It is
so you suffer through the shunning because of them?
It's social shunning that your parents are being shunned, and therefore you're being shunned by the community, but you are not really actually allowed to shun your parents. So
It's going to be very rare for somebody to have parents that are disfellowshipped that actually care about the social connections that they're going to be losing due to that disfellowshipping. Usually, if the kids have parents that get disfellowshipped, the kids are excited. Wow.
It depends, but yeah, I'm sure we could find examples where they're not.
Yeah,
but
there's probably an example where that's not the case, but most of the time, that's in how it plays out.
I didn't really like hanging out with most Jehovah's Witness kids. They were not really nice to me, and I didn't have anything in common with them, and I couldn't I couldn't say that I actually watched The Simpsons. So I knew my mom would let me watch things that other kids weren't allowed to. So I just kept my mouth shut.
Right. That was kind of how it was for me
Don't
too.
ruin it for yourself.
I had to find safe people. Like I'd drop a Simpson joke, see if they know. If you know, you know.
Right.
That's weird.
Well, that's
That's
how it
weird.
is.
That is weird.
So surviving. Oh,
Surviving a cult.
mhm.
All right, y'all.
It is past time. Thank you for joining everybody and hanging out. We got carried away at the end, but anyway, I encourage you all to go and research and look and just type words in and look for good sources and see what you find. Share them if you got them.
Do.
We're all on our own journey. Happy to be here with you all, and if I help anybody, I'm happy. If anybody else helps me, I'm always happy, and lots of people have helped me. Just being in damn TikTok was helpful. Good Lord. But migrating here, and I met all you wonderful people on my journey of finally talking to ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, because I ignored all you people too.
I wasn't an Jehovah's Witness.
I didn't want anything to do with it. I just want to pretend it never happened. But that didn't
Right.
work, really. Surprise, surprise. It's not a great coping tactic. But anyways, love being part of this community. Honestly, I really don't hate most ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. I think we're mostly pretty cool people who've taken the good things about being in a community and left all the shitty things most of the time.
Hopefully. Try to.
Some of it.
We're also
Yeah, some
patient
of
with
it.
each other. Just a little bit.
Y'all lack of
That's a nice portion of it.
the lack of flavor.
Rude.
Flavor.
Racist.
Flavor.
It's not our fault Jehovah doesn't like seasoning.
No. God dang. I mean,
Milk toast.
well, y'all. Whew.
Have a great night, everybody.
Boring.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Good to see you.